Hello. Now, if I told you that on the one show there would be a feature about how great it would be to have a microchip implanted in all of us, you would probably think you're having a laugh, mate, aren't you? But that's exactly what happened on Wednesday night. This is probably the most sinister feature I've ever seen on TV, certainly in the past, well, for as long as I can remember. So let's have a look, see what you think.
Here's Rory looking forward to a truly bionic future for all of us.
Looking forward to a truly bionic future for all of us. Starts well, doesn't it?
These days, people are modifying their bodies in all sorts of weird and wonderful ways, from surgically implanted horns in your head to some very odd changes indeed. Personally, I wouldn't have any of these cosmetic modifications, but there is a host of more useful technology that people are starting to have put under their skin.
Oh, isn't that nice? Useful technology that people are having implanted under their skin. Seriously? If you'd shown this even 5 years ago, people would be going, what? And I hope people are rightly outraged by this. But it doesn't seem they are, because there's been very little commentary about this on online. I posted some stuff on Twitter after I saw it, but well, carry on watching.
It might sound a bit sci-fi, but some companies promise a future where you can open doors, pay for your dinner, or even clear customs using microchips implanted in your hand.
Well, that's the plan, isn't it? Why is everything going online and digital? Why are we becoming a cashless society? We're paying things with contactless cards or with apps on phones. It's to get everything. If you get everything digital and online, it's easily tracked, traced, and databased. It's another way of keeping us all under surveillance and controlled, basically. And these microchips are the ultimate. This is the ultimate goal. And we'll see more about that later on. Here we go.
Stephen Northam runs the UK's first human microchipping company, and of course, he has one fitted.
Our technology is quite simple. It's the same technology used in cats and dogs. All the data stored on the microchip itself only is readable when it's scanned against an external reader.
The implant contains a unique identifier code and uses close-range radio communication, so when you swipe your hand against the reader, it knows it's you.
So currently, the microchips can be used for opening doors, starting cars, so swiping your hand on the steering wheel.
You can start a car with it?
Start your car, yeah.
Okay, all right, I'm interested.
Yeah, you can open doors with it. Yeah. This is all part of the whole surveillance by convenience agenda that's going on. You know, how many things, it's like smart meters, supposedly to help us save money. They don't save us money. I made a video about that as well, which you can see. I'll either post a link here or I'll post a link in the description, but it is surveillance by convenience. It's making technology, easy technology that makes things supposedly easier, but the downside of it is that it's just more of your privacy being taken away. You're being more tracked, traced, and databased wherever you go. So everything you do, wherever you go, is being traced, tracked, and recorded and stored for future use by who knows who, for who knows what. And that's the dangers, isn't it? Let's carry on.
Yeah, logging onto laptops, so I can scan my hand and my laptop logs in.
Look at that.
And future technology for this is contactless payments, passports, whole variety of different technologies could be integrated into the chip.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? Get everything digital. So if you had a chip implanted, this is the real danger, isn't it? If you had a chip implanted which had all your bank details on it, so you wouldn't need a card, you could just swipe your hand, it'd have your medical records on it. You could use it for travelling, or like they say, for getting through customs or passport control, things like that. So if that is the future, which clearly this is what this is leading to, what happens if the government of the day, if you don't like what the government's doing and you protest, and they just turn off your chip? Well, you can't travel anywhere, you can't pay for anything, and you can't get medical help, medical assistance. So That's the ultimate, isn't it? The ultimate control, basically, isn't it? If you've got everything on a chip, all your details, all your means of payment, travel, or means of getting medical care is all on a chip. If that gets turned off, what do you do?
Kiri Boya is a convert.
Hi, Kiri.
Nice to meet you.
She knows Stephen, and when he explained the idea, she joined a waiting list to have a microchip implanted that could allow her to automatically open the doors to her house.
I'm a nightmare with house keys to start with, so initially being able to let myself into my own house would be great. Love technology, bit of a tech geek. So going forward, if it's things like chip and pin, paying for things, not needing to leave the house with bank cards.
So this is all about making your life easier as far as you're concerned.
Yeah.
Seriously, how lazy do you have to be that you'd rather have a microchip implanted in your body rather than open a door with a key? Again, surveillance by convenience. That's how it all works.
Stephen's chips use special biocompatible glass and are designed to last a lifetime, so should never need to be removed. But getting a microchip for identification is not considered to serve a medical purpose, so they aren't regulated as medical devices.
Do you feel different?
No.
Superwoman.
Each implant costs around £250, and adapting your lock so it opens your doors could cost up to £5,000.
Seriously, how lazy? I can't be bothered to use a key, so I'll actually pay to have a microchip implanted in my hand, pay 250 quid, and then an extra 5,000 on my doors so I can open them with the wave of a hand. World's gone mad.
Okay, moment of truth.
So it could be expensive if Kiri wants to kit out her whole house.
Should we see if it works?
Okay.
There you go. Amazing.
You can use implants to buy some train tickets in Sweden, and at least one company in the US has given staff the option to access the building and pay for meals using them.
Yeah, some staff in some companies have already been implanted in the US and other places around America. How sinister is that? You know, chipping your employees so you know where they are and what they're doing at all times. I mean, now this is the worst bit coming up here. There's this poor guy who's lost all his limbs, and they're basically exploiting him to get this pro-human chip implant message across. Watch this.
I can see how this kind of tech could make life that bit more convenient for most of us, but for Alex Lewis, it has completely changed his life. 4 years ago, he became seriously ill and had to have both his arms and legs amputated.
If I was to get out of a car, try and get keys out of a bag, try and get the key into the lock and trying to turn it and then try and get in, it could take 10, 15 minutes. So now with the microchip and the simplicity of it all, I'm in and out within 30 seconds.
So this has changed your life quite a lot then?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. It's been a real game changer. I travel extensively, and for me, if I had my medical data stored in a microchip in my arm, if I was to fall ill abroad, rather than being presented to somebody not having a clue what's going on, for them to scan and to have that information is massive. I think there's a wealth of positive differences that this type of technology can make.
Now, my first thought when I was watching this was, apart from, you know, this poor guy, what he's been through, is he's using this chip, he's saying, as a way to get into his house and also for storing medical records. Well, you could have that on a pendant around your neck. You wouldn't need that to have that as an implant on a chip inside your body. You could have your medical records in a pendant around your neck. And also, if you did want to have some kind of electronic door opening device, you could also have that on the pendant. You don't have to have that implanted in you, which is, you know, a disgusting exploitation of this poor guy to get this message, this pro RFID human implanting of chips agenda across. It's just disgusting.
I was initially quite skeptical about all of this, but meeting Alex has shown me just how useful microchip implants can be. Maybe one day we'll all have one.
Maybe one day we'll all have one. Can you imagine that? What kind of world would that be if babies were microchipped at birth? I mean, you know, it's the stuff of dystopian nightmares, isn't it? It's, you know, like something out of 1984, which was meant to be a warning, not a blueprint. But that's how this kind of agenda creeps into society, isn't it? It's by convenience. You know, it's so convenient not to have to type a password into your laptop or your mobile phone. You can just hold it up and it will biometrically read your face or your thumb or fingerprint. But then what's your phone company doing with that data, your biometric data that they've got? What do they do with that? You know, we see all these scandals about people's data being stolen or used. If everything about you is on a chip, or your medical records, your means of travel, your means of accessing medical care, your means of leaving the country, you know, passport control, I mean, that would be the ultimate control, wouldn't it? It can either be turned off, or it could, you know, be hacked or stolen. There's also obviously health implications with this. There's been many studies, because obviously they've chipped animals first. Animals are chipped, you know, dogs are routinely chipped. And there's been a lot of studies with cancerous tumours in dogs and cats around where these RFID chips have been implanted. So there's obviously health things we need to be aware of. Obviously they can be hacked as well. Anything electronic can be hacked. Plus it's also not about the data that they transmit. What data can they receive and how can that affect you? You know, our brains have brain waves, our blood cells and all our organs, they communicate electronically with small electrical charges, you know, synapses in the brain, you know, we are bioelectrical chemical beings, aren't we? We are beings of frequency. So what is having a chip implanted in you which could potentially be used to broadcast certain waves or certain electrical impulses, what would that do to you? I mean, another way of control, isn't it? I mean, it sounds completely like some kind of futuristic nightmare, but it's here now. On the One Show, on BBC's One Show. I mean, it was just so sinister in its banality, and it's like everyone's smiling. Oh yeah, how cool is this? Oh, this is great, I've got a chip implanted. Seriously? 2018, this is the world we're living in. Is that the future we want for us and our kids? Not the future I want, but that seems to be the way we're going, but we've got to keep an eye on this kind of thing, you know, this surveillance and control by convenience. It's the ultimate control, isn't it? Can you imagine someone like Donald Trump having that amount of control if the whole of the American population were microchipped and had everything on a microchip? He could just, in his opponents, he could just turn off their microchips, couldn't he? What would you do? You wouldn't be able to pay for anything. You wouldn't be able to get medical care. You wouldn't be able to buy food. You wouldn't be able to travel, you know. It is the ultimate control, and this is what we've got to be aware and be wary of. So, yeah, I was quite shocked to see this on the One Show. But I suppose I shouldn't be too surprised, because this kind of agenda permeates all society, and we have to be aware of it, and we have to speak out against it, which is why I made this video. I didn't want to have to make this video, but after seeing something like that, I couldn't just remain silent. So thanks for watching, and keep an eye out for this kind of thing, because unfortunately it is everywhere. So thanks for watching. Take care, and cheers.